Hello, everyone. This is Cathy Moretsky, and with Coffee with Cathy. And it's great to be with you again. This week has been quite a challenging week. These last two have. We've seen lots of trouble in our nation, and I wanted to address that at the end of my talk today. But I wanted to finish off our series on thoughts and feelings. I started off about 5 sessions ago talking about our twisted thinking and how there are 10 forms of twisted thinking, and that our thoughts really produce the feelings that we have in our body. And a lot of us have been feeling anxious, angry, depressed during this time, sad, not just because of the coronavirus, but now, especially with the last 2 weeks, with all the racial tension in our nation. We're feeling a lot. And I wanted to end this series with the last two types of twisted thinking. The first one I want to talk about is labeling. And do you remember the first type of twisted thinking? It was all or nothing. It's when you make a mistake, but yet you feel like a total failure. And this is an extreme version of that. Labeling is when you make a mistake, but you attach a label to it as well. And you talk to yourself and say, I am such a total loser. Or it's when you maybe don't pass a test and you just say, I'm a failure. Or you do something wrong, you make a mistake, you hurt someone's feelings, and you say, I'm a jerk. I'm such a jerk. And so, this type of thinking is very irrational, as well as all of them are. But it's really irrational when you think it through, because we are human beings and we exist. Losers don't exist. Jerks don't exist. Failures don't exist. As you can guess, thinking thoughts like that, like I'm such a failure, I'm such a loser, they can lead to depression, anxiety, frustration, low self-esteem. So we've got to catch ourselves when we're thinking things like this, especially those of us that are prone to that all or nothing thinking. This is also a trap we will fall into, this labeling. And instead of saying, instead of just, when we do something, instead of saying, I'm so stupid, let's say what I did was stupid, but I am not a stupid person. And again, instead of saying, I'm a failure, try, I'm a person who sometimes fails, but I get back up, I try again, and I succeed a lot of the time. Okay, so labeling works both ways. We can label ourselves, and it's a form of self-attack on ourselves. And we can also attach labels to other people. When someone does something that rubs you the wrong way, you may tell yourself, in your mind, you may think, he's an idiot. And the problem with that, besides it's not very nice, but the problem is that the way we feel, we're talking about that person's character, the essence of that person. We're saying something's bad we're seeing them as totally bad when we label them like that. And so, this makes us feel really hostile to people, and it makes us feel hopeless, because if someone's totally bad, then how are we ever going to get along with them? How are things ever going to improve? It leaves very little room for constructive conversation or any kind of constructive criticism. So instead, in your mind, when you're mad at someone, instead of saying, he's an idiot, say to yourself, he made a mistake. And we all make mistakes. So instead of saying, he's hopeless, say, he's not perfect, but everyone can change. We can all change. So catch yourself, stop yourself, put up a little stop sign in your brain when you're thinking things like this that are twisted thinking. Especially this can apply to people we are staying at home with, people we're married to, or our roommates. We have so many more opportunities to see, to know, all their little imperfections. They know ours as well. They know our weaknesses. They know the mistakes that we make. And so, can you see that if we're always expressing, either verbally expressing labels, attaching labels to each other, we're going to feel hostile and angry and hopeless, and we won't talk constructively. We won't communicate. We won't show empathy towards each other. And that's just never been more vital than at this time with our staying at home, staying safe at home, and being together with our partner in this fight against the coronavirus. So here's a quote for the day. It is from Mother Teresa, and it is, "If you judge people, you have no time to love them." And that goes for ourselves as well. If we are constantly judging ourselves, condemning ourselves, labeling ourselves, there's no time for us to love ourselves. We're going to struggle with low self-esteem and have feelings towards ourselves. So if you judge people, you have no time to love them. Mother Teresa. The 10th and last form of twisted thinking is personalization. Personalization and blame. Now, this is where personalization is when you hold yourself personally responsible for an event that isn't entirely under your control. This is something I have been super guilty of. As a young mother, I would say I received a note that my child was having difficulties in school. So what would I tell myself? Wow, this shows what a bad mother I am. Instead of trying to not take it personally, but to pinpoint the cause of that difficulty in school so that I can be helpful and effective at helping my child. A lot of young mothers fall into this trap, a lot of young dads, and at work we can do this. Just everywhere we can do this. We can personally take responsibility for an event that is not entirely under our control. We've got to learn to, sort through and sift through. Okay, we can only be in control of what we're in control of. But the rest, that's up to other people and other circumstances. But when we're thinking like this, we're going to feel anxious, we're going to feel guilty, and we're very likely to be unproductive in helping your child. And those of you with children, that is the last thing we want to be. We want to help them. So it's important that you not personalize. Don't take on more responsibility than what is rightfully yours. Now, some people do the opposite. They blame other people, or they blame their circumstances for their problems, and they overlook ways that they might be contributing to the problem. For example, you might have a friend say, my marriage is so bad because my husband is so unreasonable. So, I think our ears are, we're attuned now to hear that twisted thinking, and we can see clearly that, she's just blaming him. I don't hear that she's taking any responsibility for her own behavior towards the marriage. So let's not be guilty in that way, because blame does not work out. Blame is like playing the hot potato game where no one wants to be the one stuck holding the hot potato. someone blames you for something, normally what we do is we turn around and blame them for something right back. It's like right back at you because we don't want to be the scapegoat. No one does. No one likes to feel blamed. So it's just a really unproductive way of thinking, and it leads to anger and frustration. And remember, we're talking about this, all these types of thinking that are irrational because they lead to negative feelings. That's what we want to change. This whole series is about change the way you're thinking, and you can get yourself into a better mood. You can change the way you feel. And one more illustration of personalization that I'm guilty of is used to be especially, but if you are extremely sensitive, you can take everything personally, whether it was directed personally towards you or not. And you can see other people's negative actions towards you as more of a reflection of, you can just automatically say, I did something wrong, or whatever they're saying is true, and you just feel bad about yourself. But if someone has negative behaviors and actions towards you, we need to see that as a reflection of who they are. It's a reflection of them. And I've had to tell myself for a long time now, if someone doesn't tell you, come up to me and say, I personally have a problem with you, then do not take it personally. I had to just do a lot of self-talk in that way because there was a period in my life when I was just way too sensitive and struggling with low self-esteem. And so, that is just that's not how we want to live, and it's not right. I wanted to wrap up the series in today's talk in light of all the current events that are so sad and, just affecting us. And I wanted to talk about crisis fatigue. I think I have crisis fatigue, and I bet a lot of you do as well. What is crisis fatigue? It's, our bodies are well adapted. We were made to be able to handle temporary stresses, but when we have crisis fatigue, it means that we are overwhelmed by the constant, unrelenting pressures of this year. It's only June 10th, and this has been really a hard year, a horrible year, a challenging year. And a lot of us have crisis fatigue because the pressures have just been unrelenting, one thing on top of another. So I want to end with this. These are tips for emotional resiliency, and I think they will be helpful. I hope they will. The first one is focus on what you can control, not what's out of your control. Be solution focused, not problem focused. Okay, so know what you can control and focus on that. Don't worry, don't take blame, don't take responsibility for what's out of your control. Okay, another one. Use events as learning experiences. The Chinese symbol for crisis is made up of the two symbols for danger plus opportunity. Be flexible and open-minded. I've learned a lot this last week listening to people I'm close to share their past experiences. I mean, we've been in crisis mode, but I've learned a lot about discrimination, and my heart's gone out to people like never before, and I'm grateful that they've shared their past experiences and their current realities, what it's like for them. The third tip is alter your perceptions. Don't try to change other people. As Epictetus said in the first year, AD, 1 AD, he said, "It is not events which disturb us, but our view of those events." So enhance your rational thinking to prevent negativity from spinning out of control. Okay. So, like never before, we need to be in control of the way that we think and not let our emotions spin us out of control. Okay. And don't think that we can change other people. We can only change ourselves. And that's going to be a good bit of work for a lot of us, all of us. Another tip is limit the hostility factor. The negativity and anger that we harbor for others is more destructive to the one who harbors the resentment. Let me say that again. The negativity and anger we harbor for others is more destructive to the one who harbors the resentment. That's us. So be generous, be giving in spirit, and avoid a negative focus. Help your loved ones with this if you hear them being negative. Strive for goodness. Don't strive for perfection. Strive for goodness, not perfection. Just be as good as you can. Give up the need to be right. Who cares? Give that up. Limit your defensiveness. Forgive both yourself and other people. Forgive. Don't be defensive. Accept that you have limitations. Let go of all the shoulds you're telling each other. I should have done this. I should do this. Just let that go. It's just going to make you bitter. Another one, develop compassion. Choose kindness over being right. Resist the need to be critical. Let's just be kind to each other. We don't have to be right. Let's just be kind and compassionate. Again, develop good self-care habits. All of this, learning to control our thinking and get out of the twisted thinking, that's developing good self-care habits. Allow yourself mental health breaks. Take a day. Take a drive. Go get some coffee. Take time out regularly. Take care of the needs of your mind, of your body, of your spirit. Eat well, eat healthy, exercise, get enough sleep. Those are three. I cannot overestimate the importance of those three things to fight off depression and anxiety. Eat well, exercise, get enough sleep. Pamper yourself. Set limits, prioritize, and delegate if you can. Another one, don't isolate yourself. Connect. Avoid being self-absorbed. Seek to understand, not only to be understood. Seek to understand. Look for humor in things. Lighten up. Life is too serious to be taken too seriously. Accept that life isn't fair. It's not. Develop mindfulness. Learn to live in the present. Don't live in the past, always looking back on what went wrong, what you should have done. Don't look to the future and worry about it, what's going to happen, what if, but live in the moment. Live in the present. Don't ruminate on events that can't be changed, but accept the good as well as the bad, because neither will last forever. Those are tips for emotional resiliency, and I'm wishing all of you to be very resilient, to be emotionally well and healthy during this time. I thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. Email me with your thoughts, with your any input, any feedback you have, and take care. Thanks.